Yeah.
Been better, been worse. It's all good.
Yeah, I saw on your Instagram you were sick the other day or some shit.
Oh, I've been sick for 6 weeks now. Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah,
Did you get tested for the COVID, bro, or what?
yeah. I'm not afraid of that shit.
I'm not either at all, actually.
Yeah,
I'm like right between Albany and the city.
yeah.
So people are still freaking out over here.
Everybody's a fucking jerk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, basically. But yeah,
yeah.
dude, let's just start off. New album is ridiculous. Yeah,
Thank
dude,
you,
fire, bro.
thank you.
Flawless, in my opinion, honestly.
They've
Uh,
been calling it flawless. They've been calling it a classic, a masterpiece. They've been telling me every nice thing possible. So,
yeah,
so that makes me happy.
yeah, no, it's good, man. Honestly, yeah, there's 22 songs, which is you don't see that shit a lot anymore either.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah. Well, I haven't put out a record in a while, so I want to hit him with a whole overdose of shit.
yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, there's a few records that looking back into your history a little bit. There's a few records that didn't even come out, right? Or a couple of them.
Oh, there's tons of music that never came out. More than half my catalog, about 80% of the music I've created hasn't come out.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, man. Yeah, yeah, the Crucified Dibs thing back in the day. Like a lot of people, I think, may hear your new album now and not realize how long you've been actually doing this shit for.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they like to rewrite history anyway, so they don't care. They don't
Yeah.
care. They want to write a narrative that they feel, and if it doesn't fit the narrative that their magazine has, they're gonna rewrite it. Like New York Times just almost gave me props. They said, "Who was here before Eminem?" And they said, "The Beatles, Dr. Dre, R.A. the Rugged Man." And then I go, "Oh, okay, cool." And then I click it, and they're like, "Yeah, he's been a mainstay in the underground since the early 2000s." I'm like, "Come on, you just
The
chopped
early
the decade,
2000s. Wow.
chopped a decade off my career. I've been rapping since the '80s, for fuck's sake." And my biggest buzz was in the '90s, but it's all good. At least they acknowledged it. But you know, people read what the professionals write about, and that's what history is. So history, my whole history, if you go, and I'm just an underground rapper, so imagine the history of historical figures of in
Exactly.
history.
Exactly.
Imagine how much shit's been rewritten about them. They just rewrite like little bullshit facts. I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. That's
I
not
mean,
true. That's not
there's
true.
the,
That's
there's the
not true.
phrase there's that phrase, history is written by the winner, and that shit's been happening forever.
Yeah, exactly.
School,
That's
you
what
mean
it
talk
is.
about
And
school?
the music industry is the same thing. History is rewritten by whoever has the most power, who has the most funding, who has the most, you know, all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. Actually, in hate speech, you mentioned Big L and Christopher Hitchens, like, which two people that I actually. It's funny that you mentioned them both because I honestly think that they were both super talented with words and also had amazing punchlines. Like it's,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. Like I didn't put that together at first, but like that's pretty cool. Did you ever actually get to like see a fucking Big L show or get to meet him or anything back then? Or
Nah, but I, I'm tight like this with every single person in L's camp. Like
yeah,
I know everybody else except for L. We never rocked together. I was on a 12-inch little underground mixtape thing with him, a couple things, but we never connected. And as far as Christopher Hitchens, um, that was just a funny word. I
yeah,
said I
no,
put
no,
the fear of God in Christopher Hitchens.
no, that's
You know,
hilarious.
and what's funny is like everybody's so offended by anything you say, and I say all this horrible shit on that song, and in the comments it's all like, "Oh, how dare he try to badmouth the Hitch?" And like Hitch would destroy him in a debate. It's like, yo, it's a fucking joke. I put the fear of God in Christopher Hitchens. It's
I thought it
like
was hilarious. I'm a
the
fan of
most
history.
famous atheist. So
Good.
that's who you put the fear of God in. It's you know. But people are ignorant and stupid and don't have a sense of humor, don't even understand anything anybody's trying to do half the time. It's
Yeah.
like
No, I
you
mean
got to. That's why they simplify and dumb it down so dumb, stupid people can listen to something and go, "Oh, that's cool. I get it."
that beats hard. Yeah, it's crazy. Like when it comes into like the legendary loser video, like when you're kind of like mocking like Takashi and like the whole fucking that whole dumb shit. It's crazy to see how the media, picks who's going to be popular and who the fuck you get to see or hear, or what news you get to see. And it's been like that forever. But I don't think that a lot of younger kids necessarily see it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like now the division is so like Fox or CNN, and they forget about that there's a whole fucking 99% of other shit out there,
Yeah, yep. And it's the same exact thing, like you said, Fox, CNN, or politicians. They choose what politicians you can see. It's like you could qualify to be on the main stage debate, and they'll change the rules on you and not let you in the debate. It's like
Sure.
they pick and choose what artists you see, what politicians you see, who you could vote for, who you can't vote for. So you see it. That's why we're stuck with the two worst fucking possible. Biden, like, you got this guy Trump that the world dislikes so much, and the best you could come up with to defeat Trump is the worst possible fucking, like we thought Hillary was bad, but Hillary could at least fucking speak. Like she was, she didn't speak well, but she could speak and have sentences. Like Biden is just like a fucking brain dead, like he got hit in the head with a brick for 5,000 times.
For real.
And all his policies have been worse than anybody's policies in history. So it's like,
Sure.
So yeah, let's beat Trump. But now, at this point, they're not campaigning a politician. They're just campaigning on, we need to do whatever it takes to get Trump out. So they don't care who it is. So they say, if we keep Biden, he's the easiest to control. He's super right, even though they go, oh, lefty. No, he's is right in, with the banks, with the military, all of that shit. Yeah. So they there's no progressive movement going on with a Joe Biden. Everything stays the same, So they keep that power.
Well, I mean, just the fact that we have only two parties to choose from. I mean, it's a fucking
charade. It's a joke thing of all time.
I mean, like Carlin, George Carlin said, like if you go to a bagel shop, there's fucking 40 kinds of bagels, but like we get two different people to choose from. It's the illusion of choice, like it's not real. Like they're all, and about this shit just as well and for longer than I do, about like the people that really pull strings and manipulate the world. It's not these politicians. The president, in my opinion, only has so much power. Like they still answer to somebody, like Federal Reserve. Like IMF.
Yeah, that's totally true. But they're the face of what the world thinks of us.
Yeah, I wanted to go into a little bit about like how the history of hip hop and like how it's always been reflective of like the world around them. Like Run DMC. Or I mean, Grandmaster Flash, even like don't push
the message. The message. Yeah, well, Flash was the first. I don't know if he was the first, but he was the first one to make that what hip hop was, where like, the streets and what's going on, and nuclear wars, the threat of nuclear wars and street life and pissy alleyways and drug addiction, and like he really popularized and made, hip hop, if it wasn't for Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash and all of them, the Furious Five, Cowboy, they changed and revolutionized music, period. Because music wouldn't have been the same after that. Their consciousness, it was that was something like nobody ever heard before,
Yeah, then you get into like KRS-One.
Yeah, but that was later on. That was,
of course.
KRS-One came, I think he was making a name on the underground in 86, and his records dropped in 87, so.
Yeah. And like I watched an interview with you recently where you talked about the Grandmaster Flash song and how it was like, it's like 6 minutes and 30 seconds or some shit. And and how they were playing it, the full fucking song. That's amazing. That doesn't happen nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like it's 4 minutes tops for most songs,
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yep. Well, he also did the song Beat Street, which was, I don't know, 10 minutes, 8 minutes. It was a long one, so.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, then, Uncommon Valor, when I posted on my page Wake Up News, I posted that I was going to be doing an interview with you potentially. And everyone was like, oh, Uncommon Valor. And like over and over again in the comments, like, holy shit. Yeah, so, if you don't mind, I honestly, like I talked about I'd like to talk about Uncommon Valor a little bit, but you know, the Vietnam War it literally had an impact on your life personally, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, my father was a highly decorated soldier over there, and they were giving him, missions, secret missions, and he was flying. What happened is if our soldiers were stuck or abandoned or they would go on rescue missions to get them from enemy territory, and they'd bring them back, and his job was to take the soldiers back. So they sent him in a bunch of different missions with Agent Orange where
so
they
he
was
probably saw
creating.
like some of the worst shit that ever happened there, right? I mean, realistically.
Well, he was participating in a lot of it. He was a gunner. 17 years old. You join the army. They train you to be a killer. So his gun, like I said in the song, was shooting 4,000 bullets a minute. And then they send you home back in society and expect you to be normal. And then my sister was born in 81, and she couldn't walk or talk. They said she was going to die in 8 days, and she lived 26 years, but she was never able to walk or talk because of Agent Orange. And then my brother was born in 91, and he couldn't walk or talk, and he was blind, and he died at 10 years old. And then the year before my brother was born like that, my nephew, my older sister was born healthy. I was born healthy. And my older sister got pregnant when she was a teenager, and her baby only lived 6 months, and he died 6 months old. So Agent Orange killed 3 of the kids in my family, and then my father got cancer and died. And some people said, "Oh, that has to do with Agent Orange," but I don't know. He was a smoker and all that, so I can't say for sure it was the Agent Orange. But a lot of people say that helps go to it. But we were definitely affected. We were definitely affected by it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, recent, like, I don't know how much you kept up on the payments and stuff, but like they just started recently, 2015, I think, started paying back people. Like the government
No,
didn't want to fucking pay for that shit, right? Like at
no,
first,
they were paying people before that, but they were paying them chump change. And what happened is my father was always struggling, and they programmed my father to be a soldier. So he said, "Hey, we went over there. We were soldiers. They told us what to do. We was on a job. We was doing a job. So, I come home. Well, let me sue the government." He just was like, "Fuck it." They offered him $2,200 a year for 4 years because of the kids. And he was like, "Sure, hell yeah." He got the check. He brought, some pizza home, some Chinese food, some donuts, and that was, oh yeah. And the next year, the $2,200 is coming this year, So they gave him less, a little like $8,800. That's what they gave him, for the kids, But they also did send aides over, like nurses and stuff to help the kids and stuff. So
yeah.
They didn't. They deformed his children. They destroyed his children. They couldn't walk or talk, and they were blind, and 3 of them died.
I fucking imagine, man.
But when the kids were alive, they tried to send a little nurses and medicine and shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the crazier things that I didn't know for years and years and years, and like on my page, Wake Up News on Facebook, we fucking, Federal Reserve, IMF, fucking Operation Mockingbird, we covered like that kind of shit. And Monsanto actually originally were the creators of Agent Orange.
Yeah, Monsanto, yeah.
Crazy, dude. And then they all of a sudden, then they're an agricultural company where they're controlling seeds and shit. Like, it's a revolving door of like
fucking. And the bootlickers. If you shout out Monsanto right now, the bootlickers be like, "Well, it's not the same company. It was closed, and then it was bought here, and it's different." And shut the fuck up! It's Monsanto.
It's not the same company because they don't because history can be rewritten exactly like you said before.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Bayer. I think Bayer. That's a German company. Yeah, Bayer actually took over Monsanto.
Yeah, they bought Monsanto for what, billions of dollars? How much money did they
and
buy?
And Monsanto's stock was plummeting, so like now Bayer has to deal with that. But Bayer back in the 80s, just not I mean, maybe
Yeah,
5
they put the HIV in. Yep, I know all about that.
yeah, contaminated,
Explain it in
contaminated,
detail to your listeners.
yeah,
Yeah.
contaminated hemophiliac medication was contaminated with HIV, and they sold it to third world countries and shit.
Yep.
Crazy, man. Like the shit that people don't. And then that again goes to the mainstream media being pieces of shit because they don't want you to know this shit and you won't.
And the funny thing is, if you bring it up to ordinary people, they'll call you conspiracy theorist and this and because they don't want to know about it, you know. Yeah. So you go, yeah, Bayer put HIV in a. They're like, oh, shut the fuck up, Alex Jones.
No, exactly.
Oil hat guy.
And that's why they fucking make
Elvis is still living too, right? Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's how they do it, and that's the fucking game, man. CIA back in the day, Operation Mockingbird. Like when we started influencing other governments' mainstream media with the CIA, we were like, let's.
But it still exists. Mockingbird is still 1,000%.
Way crazier now because everyone's got that fucking shit in their pocket now, man. It's you didn't have a phone at one point. I didn't have a cell phone at one point. Everyone now is just constantly checking, and you don't see the real shit, obviously. I actually want to ask you that. So, like, back in the day when, like, Grandmaster Flash was doing shit, KRS-One, Public Enemy.
War Righteous Teachers, the X-Clan, Brand Nubian.
Yeah, Brand Nubian. How did word pass around about these things? Like, I heard Illuminati mentioned in a billion fucking old school hip-hop songs. And, like, how did messages spread around back then? Was it through music? Or
you know what's funny? There was a lot of pamphlets actually. Especially with the 5% Nation. A lot of the rappers started, with the Nation of Islam and stuff like that. So a lot of the vocabulary and a lot of the history. They do little papers every week and stuff, and a lot of stuff that you would hear. And you know what's crazy too? It's like a lot of the stuff that I would read in those pamphlets back in the day, now they say, oh, that's right-wing propaganda. And it was the most left-wing propaganda when I was a kid, it was like say the facts about, the history of Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood and where it came from. And she was racist and wanted to sterilize black men and thought black people was, worse than seeds in the dirt. And that whole history that's real that they delete and pretend it's not true. And she used to speak for Ku Klux Klan members and the black person, she wanted to eugenics and all of that stuff to get rid of poor people, black people, inferior seeds. Like she was like such a disgusting racist person. And I never heard about that from no redneck right-wing white boy ever until later on. I don't know, but when I was a kid, that it was all from pamphlets and stuff from pro-black people,
Well, I mean, when you go back to it too, like Farrakhan, okay? A lot of people are like, yo, racist piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people think that. I uploaded a video a few years back about him talking about the Rothschild family, and pretty much everything he said was right on point. Okay?
Well, Farrakhan speaks a lot of truth.
Yeah.
He said some ugly things in his day. So that's the thing with society now too, though. What I'm saying is what they do is you can have 90%, and I'm not saying Farrakhan's record is 95% truth. I haven't heard all 50, 60 years of his speeches. No. But what I'm saying is you look for something bad that somebody said, and you could use that to discredit everything they've ever said, and everything they ever said is inaccurate, and everything that is not credible but you can do that to any person in history.
Yeah.
No matter who the person is.
Anybody.
You can find a false quote or something that somebody said that was stupid, but that doesn't mean you discredit it. Okay, this is not quite, what they're talking about with Farrakhan, but when Trump was going in, I said, I fell for it. I said, nah, this guy has no chance in hell. He's not going to be the president. There's no fucking chance. I wasn't a Hillary supporter. I hate Hillary Clinton. I think she's a fucking monster. But I wasn't a Trump supporter either. But I said, I figured that they were smart enough, whatever it took, that they're not going to let this non-politician talk show guy, that they're going to be smart enough to not let him get in office, So I said, Trump has no shot, no chance. So that clip is out there. So then when you say that, whenever you have any kind of political, discussion or any. Oh, you're the guy that said Trump couldn't win, though. You're the guy. Like, yeah, I was
You're
wrong.
wrong.
That year, I also said to the mother of my kid, we already had our daughter. This was 3-4 months later. I said, nah. You know, I never got no one pregnant my whole life. My sperm is low. Our daughter's a blessing. I ain't getting you pregnant. Boom, she's pregnant the next week. You know, so I made some mistakes in 2000. I made some mistakes with my 2016 predictions. You know.
Yo, but that's like exactly like what you're talking about. It's those like little sound snippets and like the fact that we have no fucking attention span anymore. Like literally, I think they say it's less than a goldfish. I think. Yeah. Now, like you have more in-depth knowledge of like certain history, like New York City history, than I do because you were fucking there during it. In a Big L song, he said, "What does he say? Like me and my crew, our goal is to get Giuliani hung." Like the Ed Koch song, like Giuliani, like what was it like when he came into power there in New York City? Like what changed up for you guys? You know?
Well, Giuliani as a mayor.
Because he couldn't say 9/11 8,000 times in a sentence back then.
Yeah, but it was before that even.
Yeah.
I think 9/11 was when it was towards the end where he was trying to, you know, extend his thing to be the mayor longer.
Of course.
And he wasn't able to do that or whatever. But no, when Giuliani was the mayor, everything got really strict in New York. Like if you sat down, it could be 4 a.m. You lay down on the subway. You know, the cops would come and get off the train and they write your ticket. And you're like, yo, it's 4 a.m. The train's empty. I was taking a nap. I got an hour train ride to get. They'd take you off the train. You know, if graffiti was written, it'd be clean the next day. They was, you know, arresting everybody for like it was really, really, really strict. And Giuliani was a dick, you know. But there was something that he did. Yeah, he got even worse as he got older. But like when he ran the city, one thing he did do though, he somehow cleaned the city up where it was like, you know, he took the soul out of it, you know, but the crime did leave the city during the Giuliani era, you know, New York. But also that's in the 80s, there was the crack epidemic. There was so much, you know, I'm not saying that that's all Giuliani, but there's something he did where like after Giuliani, New York was a different place. And, but he was strict. He was a strict guy. And
I'd like to get
my guys from Screwball did a record, Who Shot Rudy, and they literally had you know the cops on the block looking for them, you know, because they made a record, and they found something that one of the guys did. They were putting some of the guys in Screwball in jail. You know, but you know, you can't say they put them in jail because they made the song. But yeah, they were looking for them because they did that song.
Of course, and the CIA has been propagating drug use for years, right? I mean, the black
they were bringing the drugs into the black communities, and you know, part of the drug sales that was all exposed. And
one thing that I think is kind of wild that when I talk to people and they talk about like gangster rap, like, oh, well, they're making this music and this and that. You know, like NWA, fucking Biggie, fucking, you know, like not Biggie necessarily, but you know, Ice Cube, fucking the gangster rap shit. But you got to think like, who is the person signing the checks? Who controls the radio stations, right? It's some rich fucking old white man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, the radios and the major labels, you know, most of them were, you know, run by, you know, and all the powerful, you know. My brain's a little bit fried because it's later here, and I've been having kids all day, and I've been doing interviews all day, and like
I got you,
bro. Like basic words that like they're not even.
It's all good. It's all good, man.
And I'm running back and forth trying to deal with my kids, so like I'm like trying to make a basic sentence, and I'm like,
I really appreciate your time anyway. Like,
and then it's all good. Just when your listeners listen to this, and I can't form. I sound like a Joe Biden speech right now. Like, and then all the corporations, you know. All the major networks, they're all run by, you know, a small group of people.
Like, you know, like Tipper Gore and shit. Like, you know, like when back in the day when they were talking about gangster rap, reading out fucking lyrics in court, like who was letting it on the radio? Who owned the radio stations? It was a way to, in my opinion, to propagate, you know, like when you arrest people's dads, right? And they don't have someone to look up to because of the crack and stuff influenced and pushed into the city. And then you have these rich fucking white record label execs controlling the radio. And they start putting out this gangster rap shit, like, and it wasn't like gangster rappers that had their own station and put it out. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
not so sure. I'm not so sure. I know that I know that whole theory about them pushing gangster rap, and it was like and sometimes you think about it, and yeah, there were ignorant pictures that they did like the paint, but I don't really. There was, I think they started wanting to make money, and I think the dumbing down of a culture was the easiest way to make money. So, Ice T was
Really,
making gangster rap out of his fucking trunk
yeah.
and was selling hundreds of thousands. And then when Warner Brothers picked it up, he sold 1 million, half a million,
So they
and
saw
then,
the money happening and they just took advantage of that, basically.
yeah, and then I do believe that, hey, maybe let this rock. And I do think that like something that was a little bit more intellectual and intelligent wasn't dumb enough. So they go, oh, promote this instead of that. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
mean,
But
if you hear the lyrics today in certain songs, I don't even know what they are, realistically. It's horrible in a way. I'm not the
and
biggest hip hop
but,
fan, dude. You know what I'm
but,
saying?
what you were saying about the CIA getting involved in the music industry, you can't put nothing past any of them, So anything's possible. Yeah, I'm just not sure. I just can't say for sure about that. I seen the inside out of the industry, and I seen a lot of ugly, ugly inside shit. But and a lot of disgusting people, and a lot of pimping of people, and just really, really low life people involved in that business. But I'm not so sure if the CIA put gangster rap out there. And if they did, shout out to CIA because you made a lot of good brothers rich. Thank you.
Yeah, that's killer.
First time I'm going to shout out to CIA.
Well, all right, so CIA and shit. Oh god, so CIA and shit. Like, I mean, it's pretty clear at this point that the whole crack thing, right? Now, like when you take it to the next level, the illegal wars in, like the wars we had in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? So like a lot of people will talk about how in Afghanistan we went in 2003, the Taliban were really against drug use and they were cutting down fucking poppy fields and shit, right? And like the production went down to almost zero, supposedly. And now, in 2003, you start seeing the heroin epidemic and the increase of poppy fields and opium coming out of Afghanistan. It seems to me that there's probably someone making a lot of money off of the deaths of kids here.
Oh yeah.
Through illegal wars,
I agree with that. I agree with that 1,000%. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Crazy. And that's what the United States is. We're the money making war machine. Make money, cha-ching, kill motherfuckers. It's like it's funny. I just watched the classic movie, The Maltese Falcon. And the little stupid falcon, the little bird, encrusted in diamonds, but like whatever. So the movie basically is these people are murdering people just to get this little piece of history, this little statue, and they all want it so bad that life means nothing to them for this little statue. So put that in the scheme of the real world and a government that's the richest, most powerful government in the world, and trying to get that little statue, but it's not a little statue; it's the whole fucking planet,
yeah, you're right.
And all the riches and all the lands, and so it's a lot.
Well, I mean, speaking about that, like it's almost like that dangling carrot, in front of your fucking face. And I see that in movies and stuff. Like I'll see a fucking comedy movie where someone loses their job and they're in like a 3-story house, like doing just fine, and it's like we're meant to think this American dream thing is possible, and I think it's almost just to keep us at work more. I mean, like think about it this way: like if there was going to be some kind of revolution in America, right? Think about who would be doing it, right? 18 to 35-year-old males, probably, right? 16.
The girls are in the streets now too.
No, I'm not saying that. Like you're totally right, 100%.
Yeah, like my little niece, the sweetest little girl, she's out there getting pepper sprayed right now. She came home pepper sprayed, because she was in the streets, protesting. So the little girls are getting involved too now too, So.
Good, man. It's all about unity, honestly. Like the division, I honestly, when someone asks me like what's the big problem in the world or whatever, I personally think it's division, created by the state. Like we're not supposed to fucking hate each other. We're all the same people, and like if we got together and didn't fight over even like when it comes to sports. I'm not a big sports guy, but like even little things like that, like people tend to hate each other.
Yeah, hate each other over a fucking sports
You
team.
hear from New York, people get stabbed in bars over
Yeah.
New York Boston shit.
Yep,
Like,
yep,
that's
yep.
no joke.
Yep, but yo, honestly, I know there's two sides of it. People go, "Oh, they want to divide us. They want to divide us," and that's the truth, because you divide the people, you weaken the people. The people are most powerful when they're together as one, you
True.
know. But on the flip side of that is the division has been programmed for decades and centuries. It's been programmed into so many people and their children and their children and their children. And I was going on a cops Facebook page today, and they had George Floyd's family just got like a PayPal, not PayPal. What's it called when you
GoFundMe or whatever.
GoFundMe, and
Yeah.
they raised $8 million for
I
it.
think it's at like 10 now. Yeah.
Okay, George Floyd's family, and the policeman was like, "Oh, the ghetto lottery they won." You know, I was like, "Yo, you know."
How can you even say that shit?
No, I
You know
took a
it's out
screenshot.
there. Everyone can see it.
Yo, that's what I mean. But listen to this. Then I read the comments, and it was like, yeah, I'll read it to you right now. Yeah, a piece of shit's death was the best thing for them. And the cop liked it. And then it was like, oh, it will be gone within 5 years tops, meaning like black people spend money. You know what I mean? Like it's all,
Garbage, man.
yeah, it's crazy. And this one said, somebody literally said this, F him and F his family. Like, yo.
I'm not even fucking surprised anymore, man. The shit that I see on the, I don't watch mainstream news, but once in a while I see a clip rolling down the feed or some shit Trump says and a lot of things are taken out of context. Don't get me wrong, but like the amount, like if anything, this is a good time to like for people, like you can see people's true fucking colors when shit like this happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but here's the thing is what you just said about Trump, that they take things out of context. That's the truth. And they take so much stuff out of context out of Trump's mouth that they're empowering Trump, because Trump does enough horrible, stupid, dumb, ridiculously just disgusting shit.
Yeah.
And then but then what happens is the Trump supporters see that, hey, they always take them out of context anyway, and they did that 3.5-year Russiagate, and WikiLeaks is Russian, and everybody's Russian, Tulsi Gabbard's Russian, Julian Assange Russian, fear-mongering people. So then the people go, well, when Trump does do something bad, they go like, it's out of context. It's like, no, that actually is what Trump.
It's like crying wolf almost. Like
what Trump said, and they're so used to the media bamboozling them that they start second guessing that. Like me, when Corona happened, and everybody was running their house, and everyone's gonna die. I was like, I don't believe it. Now, if it was true, am I a bad person because I didn't believe it? No. But the problem is when you've been lied to from the beginning of time, and you can't trust what they feed you, and we brought in our scientist and he's the only one you're allowed to listen to, and if you don't believe what that scientist that the TV put on the TV says, then you're some anti-science guy. It's like, no, I'm going to question the scientist that the government is fucking telling us to listen to. Exactly. So but then I would be looked at like, if I publicly go, I don't believe, I'm not saying it's not true, because obviously the disease is real and people did die from it. Yes. But then we also see where they were like manipulating numbers and telling people that they died of COVID that weren't even tested. These are real. Like my friend's uncle died and they said, COVID. Like they were, because the hospitals were getting more money per COVID case. So the American numbers, 100,000 people, the New York Times put the list of all the people died, and people in that list were like, no, that guy, that I'm related to them. They didn't die from COVID. Like, so they were padding the numbers up. And obviously people did die from COVID. That's real. Like people are dying all over the world from COVID, but we don't know how much we can trust, because no matter what the situation is, the government is going to fearmonger us. Yeah. So exactly. It's hard for us to understand what the level of fear we should have, or what the level of threat there really is, because if there's no threat, they're going to tell us there's a threat. If there is a threat, they're going to tell us there's a threat. So they always want us to be in fear. So that's the difficult part about it. And then when you go, when something real's happening and you go, I don't trust the media, they go like, oh, you want to kill everyone's grandmother. You want everyone to die. You know, it's like,
no, for real.
It's like, no, I just want to question things.
Questioning things should not be wrong. I mean, everyone should question everything. To me, like this whole situation is weird because like when Ebola came around, right? I was like, clearly they're overhyping this. It was plain to see they were overhyping the fucking Ebola thing. When this came around, I was watching what China was doing, locking up people, you know. And when it came here, I was like, all right, maybe it's the other way around and it's real serious and they're underhyping it. But then I saw them overhype the fuck out of it, and I started like, I don't just post some shit like, oh, this is fake or this is real. Like, I'll just sit back and not post shit and like wait until the numbers start coming in. You have like, without legit information, you cannot make an informed decision on anything.
Yeah, and the problem is, who are we? When we don't have the proper information, so we rely on the information and the stats and the numbers that they give
That's
us.
where leaking information comes in. That's where WikiLeaks comes in and hacked documents like that.
Now, yeah, if you.
I'm curious about your opinions on like censorship and.
I'm against it in every way possible.
Yes, on my page, for instance, like I don't ban anybody, I don't delete comments because like if you want to say something stupid, then everyone should be able to mock it. You know what I'm saying? Like in a way.
Yeah, but I try to keep censorship away from everything we do in art. You know. So, yeah,
I heard on your one track you said you had a $1.8 million deal fail.
Oh, the Crumble. I was, I had a bidding war, and
what was that all about?
Assigned to Jive Records, and it's a long story, you know. It was,
you don't have to get into it too much.
Lawsuits and all kind of crazy stuff, and they tried to blackball me for decades.
Well, I saw a video with you and Method Man about being blackballed, and he was like, "Yo, I didn't fucking believe it at first."
Yeah.
But
until he told the label, I want R.A. the Rugged Man.
Yeah.
You're like, no, you cannot. Yeah. He saw.
Was that because of like your crazy fucking antics, or was it like, you know?
Well, what happened was I fought my label and I started a riot at one of the showcases, and I was I put out the song "Every Record Label Sucks Dick," and I wasn't cooperating. And
wow, I'm very blurry right now.
I see it. Yeah. See, they're trying to blackball the conversation.
I just got blackballed too.
So what happens is when you don't cooperate with one of the labels, they're all in bed together. It's a small, you know, the industry is very small. They all know each other. They all have dinner together. They all go to each other's weddings. So it's like, you know, it's like high school. If you're not down with this circle, you know, the other people ain't getting in that circle. So when you do something that hurts a label, they can call everyone else and go, no, you know, we'll hook you up with R. Kelly, don't work with him, or we'll hook you up with this guy, don't work with him. You know, like you know, they have.
R. Kelly's a good choice.
Yeah, well, because that was the big guy on Jive.
I know.
So that's why I mentioned it, you know, and I said that on the one song, like Aaliyah would come in and they'd be like, oh, R.A.'s gonna be crazy, keep him away from everybody, you know. I'm like, you repping the crazy motherfuckers.
Yeah, for real though.
Yeah, but so they make their phone calls and they tell you, hey, that's the guy's a piece of shit, don't fuck with him, you know.
Dude, I saw your interview. Like I've been trying to do some research here. I saw your interview with Vlad TV.
Okay.
That dude was basically being like, no, no, you weren't blackballed. Do you remember that at all?
No, he didn't say I wasn't. He said that he doesn't believe.
Seemed like he never saw it happen himself or something like that, maybe.
No, he said that he doesn't believe it happens anymore because the internet. I don't know. Vlad's opinions.
It's kind of weird, man. I don't know.
I almost feel like some of his opinions are on purpose, like he purposely kind of disagrees in a weird way, so it keeps the conversation interesting.
So, like, do you have any like pluses or negatives, you know, pros and cons about staying independent as an artist, you know?
Well, the pro is you can do anything you want. Anything. You have no rules, you have no deadlines, you don't, you know, they can't tell you no. When you're on a major and they're funding things, they can say, no,
Yeah.
I don't
No
want
thanks.
who's rapping this guy. I want who's popping right now, you know?
Yeah.
But the downside is that um, you don't have tons of money for YouTube ads and Google ads, and you don't have a big network where like, okay, this corporate machine has this artist that they're promoting and they can reach out to all the media and make sure that they get the right coverage. And, you know, so you work really hard to make your music the best and really great, but it's such a bigger fight to get it out to the world. The world doesn't get to hear your music. When a lesser talented artist, and I'm not even just talking about me, I'm talking about all underground and are dope, but when lesser talented artists, uh, you know, could just release a song tomorrow and the system's set up and everybody gets to hear that song and everybody's going to write about it, you know, as opposed to the more talented people who have to work that much harder because they have no promotion, no nothing. All we really have on the underground is fans. People say, oh, retweet, you know, retweet, repost. Oh, I'm going to watch that video again. I'm going to share it. That's really all we have. So
Me,
we do great for having no, like my records come out and I'll chart higher all over the world, you know, than people who they cover in the mainstream. But you know, and I look at it like I go to my YouTube and you look at all the R.A. the Rugged Man videos on YouTube. Not my channel. My channel, I don't put all my stuff on my own channel, but like all like I got like 100 million views on YouTube with no money, with
fuck
no
yeah.
promotion.
Yeah.
So you know, there's two sides to it, you know.
In my opinion, I prefer non-censorship. Fucking, you know, like I have a authority thing that I have prompts with some authority, and like I almost feel like a lot of the independent artists that I look up to, it does make you work harder, I think, a little bit, right? Because you have to fucking be perfect. Your album, like, how do you even like come up with like, all right, it's time to make an album? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something hit you out of nowhere, and you're like, or you come up with a dope song, and you're like, all right, this could be part of this, and maybe it could flow into this. Like, how is it that you know, start off even making an
We
album?
go into the making of the album, but the other thing is that you're talking about censorship, and yeah, I think it's the ridiculous. I'm so anti-censorship in every way. It's like even banning guys like Alex Jones, and then
Yeah.
Sam Tripoli. They took one of his things down because he said something about Corona that
You should
people
be
didn't
able to
like.
see every different angle. That's the only way to make it a valid
Yeah,
opinion.
and then Plandemic, people were listening to Plandemic, so they took it down. And David, how you say David Icke?
David, yeah.
Yeah, David Icke, trying to take him down. It's like, yo, like listen, like let people speak. Well, you know, let people make their own decisions. Like, so the only lying ass false perspective we're allowed to hear is by a big corporate machine shoving it down everyone's throat, and we're oh,
Wow.
that's the truth. That's the truth because a big corporation and a big machine and organization told us that this is the truth.
Yeah.
But no, it's not the truth. So that's the thing is, so they like to ban and get rid of people who have a big reach that they believe are given false perspectives. But the whole news from the beginning of time has been filled with false information that
Yeah.
they sell to the public. So they just don't want the people to have that power. And they did it easily. They used Alex Jones because people didn't like Alex Jones. So they go, take a guy that we found lying on some things and making up shit, take him off the computer. No one's gonna have a problem with it. We'll use the Sandy Hook kids thing, that story, run with that narrative, so everyone will celebrate him being banned from the computer. And then once you promote that, now everybody accepted it because we picked a guy that no one likes, right?
Yeah.
So now that they accepted that, now they're doing it to everyone, and no one's saying shit, and they can ban and take whatever point of view off, whatever perspective that they don't like, they could just get rid of it. So it's like what's the next step now? You know, it was like burning books and burning pamphlets. It's the same thing. Like, were all the books accurate that they were burning? Some of them were. You know, the pamphlets. Oh, this is propaganda. Burn the pamphlet. That pamphlet. You know, or look at a political perspective. How many politicians, if you wanted to take their speech, why don't you take all the politicians on YouTube and ban all their speeches? Because all of their speeches are full of lies, every single one. So if we're gonna ban liars, ban every political speech, every one, because they're all full of lies. So you know, they pick and choose who to do this and that to, and they say, well, you know, politicians aren't hurting people. Yes, they are. Of course they are. They're bringing us to war. They're killing our children. They're killing children all over the world. They're hurting everybody. These lies that they're telling the people are hurting everybody. So how come they're not banned? I don't want them to be banned. I'm not for that.
No, exactly.
If you're going to ban this guy and that guy and this podcast guy because he had a different perspective on a COVID, you know,
You know, my page, all right, so we have 650,000 followers now, right? We're losing them by hundreds every day. But we have a lot of fucking followers, and my rule forever had been, and like one thing that I always stick to is like, don't ban anybody and don't delete people's comments. Because honestly, like, everyone should be able to see every angle and what other people think. If you take that away, then you're just creating this like fucking Candyland thing, the echo chamber. You know what I'm saying? If you only grow up listening to the one same fucking thing over and over again, and you have no other influences coming in, then you're just gonna be a brainwashed robot. I mean, realistically.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, I think we're good, man.
So dude, if someone wants to buy the new album, right? I think they can go to www.ratheruggedman.net, right?
Yeah, I think that's the website.
Yeah, that's the website. They can buy your new album. Dude, thank you so much for taking.
All My Heroes Are Dead in stores now, but you know, now we do it on the internet anyway. But thanks for having me on your show. And sorry that it's a little hectic over here.
Not a fucking problem.
I hope you got what you wanted. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you very much, man.
Bro, thank you.
Later, bro.